tell me the strategy for pruning a vase-shaped tree, this being a American elm, probably Princeton.
All right, so the approach for pruning this tree, because it's naturally a vase-shaped form that can have multiple leaders, main leaders growing up upward as opposed to out, is to encourage good spacing between the branches so that over time they don't grow close together, form some included bark. Also, the intent is to still encourage somewhat of a central leader and keep, maybe focus on, depending on the tree, 2 or 3 primary main leaders over time, and not allow there to be a dozen of them growing from the tree and all about the same size and all competing. So what we'll do is we'll thin out some of the smaller branches, still keeping in mind that we don't want to take in it more than 25% of the entire canopy of the tree if we can avoid it. I mean, before I do some stuff up there, I think there's some stuff, I want to thin this out right here.
Okay, let's do that. Okay.
So I'm going to use your loppers just because they're the easiest. So like any tree we're pruning, we do want to take out any crossing or rubbing branches. There aren't a lot here, but there are, on this side, there is a point where there are multiple branches originating from a similar area. We would want to reduce that.
So is there on elms more than a lot of other species, a lot of the angles are tighter angles.
They are tighter, but an elm naturally has a bit of a...
So is there a preference to keeping the wider angles, or is it more the size of the branch?
No, it's more the size of the...
What the heck?
The thing about elms, actually, is that they have a stringy nature to them.
Oh.
And this wasn't intentional, but they have a stringy nature to them, so they tend to, one of the reasons, they grow fast. Even though they grow quickly, which in theory would make them a weak-wooded tree, they don't fail as much in storms because they're just the nature of the way the fibers of the wood run down the tree. So, but anyway, we're removing some of the crossing, we're reducing some of the crowding branches. Because they are upright branches, we don't initially have as much concerns with the elevation over the roadways or the elevation over the sidewalks. So for the time being, this branch can remain over the sidewalk, and for the most part, the branches out over the road could stay to a degree. But this branch here is one that I'd like to remove. Eventually, it would need to be removed, but also it's kind of crowded in with
close to the second one.
Yeah.
So you'd keep the higher one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So branches. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to cut that off.
Now, what about these two being close together? Is that okay for now?
They are close together. I think it's sort of okay for now. But what I would like to do over time, ultimately, I think even this branch or this branch will need to be removed.
Right.
They are not permanent branches. But what I believe is that this one will be okay for a while. I'd like to leave this branch, but what I am going to do is I'm going to reduce it in length so that when we do remove it, it's a smaller branch.
Okay.
So I'm going to be somewhat aggressive in reducing the length of this branch that we ultimately would like to remove in a couple of years.
Right.
So I'm going to reduce its length at another branch, but I'm going to cut it to here.
So that's like 60% at least of that piece of it.
Yep. Here. I'm having a good time with these loppers here.
Mine might not be so sharp.
So we are going to leave. I'm going to leave this branch for now, even the littler branches on it. They're not really bothering anything or anyone. Ultimately, I think they'll be fine. But I'm going to remove some of these smaller little twigs. Just they will grow bigger.
I was doing that on oaks where there were little bitty branches in between where you wouldn't want another branch.
Yeah, we don't want to do any and all of them throughout the tree because then you're taking all the foliage off the tree and it encourages the branches to grow out. But close here where we eventually will remove this, and I don't want them to turn into, like on this side there's a lot of water sprouts really, is what they'll end up being, or are. Take them off. There's one here that's kind of, so as this one expands,
that would cross.
Yeah. Although we'll end up taking this off at some point. But
so basically, we're starting from the bottom and going up.
Yeah, for now, we're starting at the bottom, thinning out the spacing of the branches a bit, and I'll do some bigger cuts. So I said earlier is that on elms and other vase-shaped trees like a zelkova, they're going to have multiple, treat them like multiple central leaders. We talk about having the central leader of the oak or the maple or whatever. So, but in here we're talking about, naturally it wants to have some. And depending on what you're working from, sometimes there is one good long central leader, and it would still, it'd be vase-shaped, but they're all coming from there. This one, they clearly, it's split out into two main ones here and then split again there. Ideally, I would have liked to have prevented that, but I'm not sure that we can.
That cluster there, the 1, 2, 3.
The cluster, but I wouldn't mind the cluster because we can thin. That's what I'm going to thin out.
Yeah.
But I would have rathered it, if anything, if it had to be something, a mimic of this. Although I'd rather it be just one central one with a lot of them coming off.
Right now, here where you have maybe we're going to get to that, but the bigger, stronger, taller one is not the central one. So do you try to do anything about that?
I'm inclined to kind of tame it a little bit and slow it down.
Slow down the non-straight one and
meaning I'm gonna I will towards the end here we're gonna reduce its length.
Okay.
And thin it potentially as well.
Okay, I'll let you go in order.
Yeah, I'm gonna focus on this area here. I don't think we can't really correct what's happened here. But what I'd like to do is thin this out for now, because those branches are all going to grow together and they're going to be a problem later on. I'm just going to take a walk around the tree a little bit before I do it, so make sure. So for now, over time, we'll take some more out of this. We'll thin this out more, but I want to do it in steps. So for now, though, I'm going to start to remove some of these here.
Yeah, it's like there's 4 things on one side and 3 things on another side, if you count the main big ones there.
So by doing that, as those branches expand, they won't crowd each other. Ultimately, a lot of the other things will get removed as well over time, but right now.
So, of the 4 things on the right, 1 first and the 3rd came off. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason there wasn't any specific spacing issues, just the way that this one of them grew out and around, and ultimately it would have been a rubbing branch between now and the next pruning. So that's why that was cut.
Now, these have been in 4 years, so ideally we probably should have done it a year ago.
Yeah, and the only thing I think the general rule of thumb is let them be in there for a few years.
Right.
I think if a particular tree or species, but a particular tree happens to be growing more quickly, we could probably do some of them earlier. But it would be a 1 tree here, 1 tree there, because we have been varying our species.
Yeah.
So, in this case, obviously the elms seem to be growing kind of quickly. Elms seem to be growing quickly, as they do as a species, so we maybe would have to treat them a little bit separately, just from a time perspective. So, but to answer the question, last year or even the year before, made a couple of cuts, not a lot, maybe 3 to help with this timing this time around against one another.
Okay, so these are small crossing
They're small,
branches.
they're not really causing any damage, but if they grow, now that we've taken some out, I don't want them to cause a problem.
It already looks better. Now, like these little V ones, these 2 here, Could you leave
so
those
small.
for now?
Yeah, they're so small.
And they're not right next to anything
Yeah,
else.
you could.
Okay.
I'm trying to leave some leaves.
Yeah.
But they could be removed. It's not a huge deal as far as that goes. This one large leader that's going this way.
Right.
I don't care for the way that it's growing so much more quickly than the rest of the tree.
Right.
The way that it attaches here. If this branch was in here, like if for some reason that wasn't there, it doesn't bother me that it's kind of crooked.
If it had one central leader.
Yeah,
that
if it
was
had one central
going off.
leader. But if at some point we actually even need to ever consider its removal, I just think it needs to slow down, be a little less tall. So I'm going to use a minute here to think about how I'm going to do it too.
So this is to sort of give the other straighter leaders a chance to be, but
Yeah.
but then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 that are coming off of that. Well, okay, not counting the one near me.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Eventually,
So what?
what I'd like to see happen, I think what I'll do, although this seems extreme, I don't know that I want to be this aggressive with this tree. I don't
Yeah.
think it's as big a deal.
Yeah.
Is that I may look to reduce just these a short distance back.
The two on the left.
Two on the left. I mean, just a little, so
Okay.
that the on this branch, this one starts to potentially take a dominant role,
Right.
and at the same time be a bit more aggressive with that.
Right.
So it is going to kind of compact the crown a bit, and because I haven't done much with these lower branches, I might even take like a short amount off of each one, and so that what I don't want is to take too much off the top and then have the lower branches take off.
Yeah.
So,
So basically trying to see if the central second highest one could become the
if we can
top
if we
one.
could encourage this to be somewhat more dominant, and even if it's just a little bit,
Right.
over time we might actually be able to keep it there. So first thing I'm gonna do is find a good spot to reduce the length of this
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna take this off. This one here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or-
I'm gonna take. You know what? I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna take this side off. Make this a little bit shorter.
So take off the right side,
gonna
reduce
take off the
the
right side.
the big middle.
Alright, so I'm gonna make this one shorter.
So this is the.
So I want to just cut this big one all the way back to here. I'm not sure that's a.
But then you say the lower branches would kind of.
And they may, but I'm trying now that we're kind of committed to trying to make this
Right.
a little bigger and a little stronger over
Yeah.
time. But I don't think I'll do it now.
So what's the downside to sort of going more extreme on the non-straight leader?
You know, the non-straight leader, if I go, my concern with the extreme is all I'm going to do is encourage a lot of water sprouts.
Okay.
Because I will hit that amount of the canopy. The reason I want to do it is because I feel like I'm still giving it an opportunity to kind of grow. Well, I may start to use these branches, but the reason I was thinking about it is what would happen is that it would encourage more growth from this one.
Right.
Which is
as tall as the part that you take off. Yeah.
But I think I bet rather than be overly aggressive at the moment, I'd rather just keep it.
Okay. So we're done here.
The only thing I want to do here is maybe just do a couple little things just to kind of knock back its just a little, just to reduce the length. Just to touch
Okay.
in a couple of spots. This is that one's rubbing where it's gonna be. Take that one off. This little part that broke in the process. All right, I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
Go too far.
And when would be a good time to come back to this one? Like 2 years? Or 1 year and do some more on the left-hand thing?
I'd say based on the speed at which they're growing, 1 year wouldn't be bad. At least check it in a year.